Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into a book that's been creating, well, kind of a buzz lately.
Yeah.
The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah, it's really something. It's interesting how this book has resonated with such a wide range of people. You have your everyday readers like us, sure,
Right.
but also Buddhist monks and nuns, even psychotherapists are finding something valuable in its pages.
It really makes you wonder what it is about this book that speaks to so many different people from all walks of life. So let's dive in and see if we can figure it out. One of the things that struck me right away was this idea that we are not our minds. Like our true selves aren't those fleeting thoughts, those inner monologues that never seem to quiet down.
Absolutely, and that's a really powerful distinction that Tolle makes. It's something that a lot of spiritual traditions have explored for centuries, this idea that we're not our thoughts. Tolle uses this really vivid analogy of a beggar sitting on a box of gold.
Okay, I like where this is going.
So this beggar is surrounded by incredible wealth, right? But he's completely oblivious to it, totally lost in his thoughts of poverty and lack.
Wow, I've never heard it put quite like that before, but it makes so much sense. It's like we get so caught up in our own heads, worrying about the future or replaying past mistakes, that we completely miss the richness and the fullness of the present moment.
Exactly.
We're so busy focusing on what we lack that we fail to see the treasures that are already right here in front of us.
And all that's what Tolle argues is the root of so much of our suffering. This constant identification with our thoughts, that incessant mental chatter. It creates this illusion of separation from ourselves, from others, really from the beauty and fullness of life itself.
So it's not that thinking is inherently bad or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
It's more about how we can get so hooked by our thoughts and then we allow them to just completely control our experience.
Precisely. Tolle calls this the egoic mind. It's this false sense of self that's constantly seeking, striving, comparing. It's always focused on what's missing, what needs to be fixed, or what might go wrong in the future.
So basically, the egoic mind is like that inner critic that's always on, always judging, analyzing, planning, never a moment's peace.
Yep.
And what I'm getting from Tolle is that if we can just learn to quiet that inner chatter, that's when we might actually discover a deeper sense of peace and contentment that's already present within us.
Yeah,
Right?
that's at the heart of it.
But how do we actually do that? How do we break free from the clutches of this egoic mind? That's the million-dollar question.
Well, that's where Tolle's whole concept of the power of now comes in.
So we've been talking about this egoic mind that keeps us, like trapped in this cycle of thinking and worrying and all that.
Yeah.
But how do we actually tap into that power of now that Tolle keeps emphasizing? Like, how do we actually make that shift?
Well, this is where things get really interesting. Tolle's big idea here, and it's a radical one, is that the present moment, this now, it isn't just some fleeting concept. It's the only reality we ever actually experience.
Hold on. Are you saying that all this worrying about the future, all the regrets about the past, it's all just a distraction from what's actually real?
You got it. It's like, have you ever noticed how your mind can just pull you in a million directions at once?
Oh, yeah.
One minute you're focused on work, the next you're mentally planning dinner, and then suddenly you're spiraling down this rabbit hole of, like, childhood memories or something.
Well, tell me about it. That's like my entire life.
Exactly. And that's the egoic mind in action, just dragging us along for the ride. But Tolle's saying that we can actually step off that wild roller coaster by becoming more present.
Okay, I'm
He
listening.
even goes so far as to say that time itself is an illusion, like it's just a construct of our minds.
Okay, now that's a mind bender. How can time be an illusion?
Well, think about it. The past only exists in our memories, right? And the future, well, that's just a projection based on our thoughts and expectations. The only thing that's truly real, the only place where life is actually happening, is right here, right now.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it, but it's definitely easier said than done.
Oh, absolutely. It takes practice, like a conscious effort to shift our attention from those mental loops to the felt experience of being alive in our bodies. Tolle compares it to like becoming rooted in ourselves.
Rooted in ourselves. He talks about that a lot in the context of that river analogy, right?
Exactly. Remember how he describes our thoughts as this rushing river that's constantly kind of sweeping us away? Well, he's suggesting that by becoming more aware of our bodies, of the sensations that we experience in each moment, we can actually find a sense of stillness and grounding amidst all that mental chaos.
So it's about shifting our focus from our heads to our bodies, like really tuning into those physical sensations. This inner body awareness thing seems to be key here.
It's huge, and it doesn't have to be anything complicated either. Even just taking a moment to notice the feeling of Your breath, the weight of your body in the chair, the temperature of the air on your skin, like all of these can help bring us back to the present moment.
It's like we become so used to living in our heads that we've totally forgotten what it feels like to just be present in our bodies.
Exactly. And this shift in awareness, this ability to ground ourselves in the present moment, it doesn't just transform our internal experience either. Tolle suggests it can actually radically change how we experience our relationships too.
It's wild to think about how this whole practice of being present, like really becoming aware of our bodies and grounding ourselves in the now, could actually impact our relationships.
Yeah, it's pretty
It
amazing.
seems like such an inward-focused practice at first glance, but Tolle suggests that it has these really powerful implications for how we connect with other people.
Absolutely. And that's actually one of the things I find most compelling about Tolle's work. He doesn't shy away from, exploring how our internal state, especially our relationship with our own minds, like spills over into every aspect of our lives, and especially our relationships with the people closest to us.
So how does he connect those dots then
Hmm.
between this power of now and all the complexities of, love and relationships and all that?
Well, he starts by kind of challenging that traditional romanticized notion of romantic love that a lot of us carry around.
Yeah.
That idea that we need someone else to complete us or that a relationship is magically going to fix all of our problems.
Oh, tell me about it. I think we've all fallen for that one at some point or another, right?
Right. And we've probably all experienced firsthand how quickly that fairy tale can crumble when we actually bump up against the realities of relating to another human being, right?
For sure.
It's messy. And that's where Tully's insights can be, I think, really illuminating.
Mhm.
He's suggesting that a lot of times, without even realizing it, we bring all our unresolved baggage, all of our past hurts and insecurities, and all of that into our relationships.
Yeah.
He calls this accumulated emotional pain the pain body, and he argues that it can really wreak havoc in our interactions with the people that we care about the most.
The pain body.
Yeah.
We've touched on that a little bit earlier. It's like this invisible weight that we carry around, and sometimes, without even meaning to, we end up projecting it onto the people that we love.
Exactly. And Tolle suggests that the egoic mind, with its constant need to be right, to control, to protect itself, it actually feeds off this pain body.
Oh, interesting.
It uses it to reinforce its sense of separation and to kind of justify its own self-centered perspective.
So it's like our ego is actually threatened by real intimacy because true intimacy requires us to, let go of our defenses, to be vulnerable with another person.
Exactly. And that can feel absolutely terrifying to the egoic mind. It would much rather cling to those familiar patterns of blame and resentment and self-righteousness.
It's funny how that works, right? It's almost like we get addicted to our own suffering in a way.
It's true.
It reminds me of that really powerful quote from the book where Tolle writes, "Whatever you accept fully will get you there, will take you into peace. This is the miracle of surrender."
That's a perfect illustration of what Tully is getting at here. And it's important to note that he's not saying that we should just passively accept mistreatment or tolerate unhealthy dynamics in our relationships.
Right. It's not about being a doormat.
Exactly. Instead, he's talking about a much deeper form of surrender, a willingness to let go of our mental resistance, our need to control the outcome and to just kind of meet life as it is.
So surrender in this context isn't about giving up or, like you said, becoming a doormat. It's more about relinquishing our need to be right all the time, to win every argument, to, I don't know, mold our partners into who we think they should be.
That's a great way to put it. It's about showing up with an open heart, a willingness to really listen deeply, and a commitment to responding to each other with compassion and understanding even, and maybe especially when it's really hard.
That's such a different way of looking at things. It sounds like what Colley is saying is that true intimacy requires us to become more present, not just, within ourselves, but also in our relationships.
Absolutely. And he really believes that as we cultivate this quality of presence, this ability to meet each other in the now, free from the baggage of the past and the anxieties of the future, something really remarkable can happen.
What's that?
We create space for a much deeper connection, for more authentic communication, and for a love that's grounded in genuine acceptance and compassion, both for ourselves and for our partners.
Yes. That's a beautiful vision, and it feels both inspiring and attainable, which I love.
Me too.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've explored the illusion of the egoic mind, the transformative power of inhabiting the now, and the profound implications of presence for how we experience our relationships, both with ourselves and with others. It's a lot to digest. So what are your final thoughts?
I would just encourage everyone listening to really sit with these ideas, explore them in your own life. See what resonates with you. Maybe journal about it, meditate on it, whatever feels right. And see if you can find even just one small step that you can take to bring a little more presence into your world today. Could be in your interactions with your loved ones, or even just in those everyday moments that we so often let slip by unnoticed.
What a powerful question to leave us with. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the power of now. Until next time, remember, be here now.